Hello everybody. It's great to be with you today. And first thing I want you to do is to watch the Seinfeld clip called Emotional Intelligence and Self-Regulation. And then when you finish that clip, there's a few questions to answer about the importance of social and emotional intelligence and self-regulation. We know that social skills is of prime importance for everybody. You can be as clever as you like, but if you don't have the right social skills, then you're not going to be able to work with anybody. So my first question to all of you is, number one, why are social skills so important? You may like to take a little bit of time to answer these questions, but in your own mind, think of why do you think social skills are important, not just for your students, but for yourself? And then when do you think social skill development begins? Now, as you all know, I have a little granddaughter who's now 20 months old, and already those social skills were evident to me from about 6 months on. And her ability to interact, to socialize was there. But I think also the shyness and anxiety of young children is also evident about 6 months old. And then when do you and I start noticing social skills deficits? And what is really the definition of a social skill deficit? My own thinking would be that social skills are a set of competencies that we have to be able to interact in a meaningful exchange with people, and that meaningful exchange will lead to friendships and relationships. So let's have a look at our classrooms. What opportunities do we give to students so that they can have positive social interactions? Well, we teachers, we people who act in authority, whether you're a youth worker, whether you're a person who is mopping up the school and cleaning the school, or whatever you're doing in your capacity, if you are an adult, you are a role model. And so it behoves us to act in a way that is worthy of our calling. What we do is so much more important than what we say. So if we say to students, I want you to be honest, I don't want you to lie, and then they find out that we have not told the truth, then their estimation of us, or a good role model, starts to erode. We need to be always engaged in friendliness, in making friends, of being inclusive, and showing students how to act positively. The best thing we can do is to smile. And I don't mean a weak smile, I mean a friendly smile, an engaging smile. Some of the research around smiling says that students whose emotional intelligence is around 12 or 13, if we don't smile at them, they think we're cranky or that we're angry with them. Which is a bit sad, isn't it? Because we would have lots of things going on in our minds all at once. We could be concerned about our future classroom that we're going into. We could be concerned about what we're having for dinner that night. We could be concerned about what our husband or wife have said to us, and we might not have a smile on our face. And so the students, when they look at us, they'll read us as being angry or not engaged or not friendly. So at all times, I want us to be remembering that it's important that we have a very nice face, attractive in the fact that we are smiling and got good eye contact with students, shaking their hand or giving them high fives when it's possible, so that we're always making them feel at ease. Because a lot of students who have social problems have a high level of anxiety. They have a high level of dysfunctionality around self-regulation. And it's usually fear that makes them withdraw or makes them behave in inappropriate ways. Another thing that opportunities we have as staff is to have continuity. And I mean by that, to have the same students interacting with with each other for lots of activities over a longer period of time. If we keep on changing the students all the time and the groups that they're working in, we don't give them opportunities to have a depth of friendships and the getting to know you stage, the relating stage, the interacting stage. It's really important to keep the same group. So if we're going to do group activities in a classroom, it's a really good idea to keep the same group of students. And of course, we can't just do group work and expect it to happen. Peer friendships are really important, and they need to be nurtured just not in the school environment, but also in the home environment. So if your parents are asking if a student can visit another student, that's a really good idea to have interactions outside of school. So what are some of the steps that us teachers and social workers and youth workers can do? Some strategies. Well, I think the first one is to catch the friendless students early. So to be observant, we need to be watching all the time at recess or lunch or after school or in the classroom for the loners. Have a look at them. Now, they're not probably loners by choice. They have learned that it's safer not to interact, or they feel shy, or they feel they'll be rejected or abandoned. And so those students feel comfortable not to interact. That doesn't mean that's what they want, because everybody wants a friend. Everybody wants to know and to belong and to be loved. That's what the Lord Jesus talked about. He said he's come to give us life in abundance. And in abundance, we have friends, and we have a level of social interaction that is comfortable. When I was a principal, I never had any parents come to me and say that they were worried about homework, or they were worried about what was happening with the children's academic levels. Most of my interactions with parents were concerned that their students were unhappy, that whether they didn't have friends, and that was a big issue. And it doesn't matter how old the students are, whether they're 5 years old or 18, everybody wants to have friends. And it's the same with us too. Imagine if you didn't have any friends in your life. And so we also need to seek out not just children who are by themselves or who are alone, but also staff members. I want us to be always out there, observing, sitting next to the newbie, being friendly, not just to children, but also to staff and adults and parents. Now, some of you might be thinking, but Tina, I'm an introvert. I don't know how to do this. This is scary stuff, and I find it very uncomfortable. Yes, you might feel very uncomfortable, but that's not a good way to be. We need ourselves to work through that, to not be afraid, to put ourselves out there, to be friendly to people that we don't know. One of the saddest stories I heard was when a principal was putting on an evening for parents, and he had all of the parents in one group and all of the teachers in another group, and both those groups did not mingle or interact the whole evening. He felt very sad that in a Christian school, his staff were not openly going up and introducing themselves to parents and to making them feel at ease. It is very easy to step back, but what I want us to do is to step forward, to be an ambassador for Christ. Remember, at a Christian school or as Christians, wherever we are ambassadors for the Lord Jesus Christ. I think it's really important that in our classrooms that we have a very good attitude about friendships, that we should be openly talking about friendships, and that in our classrooms we should be doing paired activities, and we should be teaching specific skills. Sometimes children don't know what to do or where to start or how to start a conversation. So it's really important to break up some of those interacting skills, those communication skills, to teach each skill in itself, to practice them, to role play them. And that way the children will have a confidence, because we can then say, remember, this is how we do small talk. This is how we introduce ourselves. And we need to be constantly giving children opportunities to practice those skills. So what about social interaction in the classroom? How else can we do specific things in the classroom to get that social interaction going? Well, I think it's really important that we do non-academic tasks. Games and model making are really important. And in games, we can see the social skills in action, and we can role model the right way to behave. In making a model and using Lego or using the computer, or we can always use social skills there, because this is in itself a teaching lesson. We should see the playground and free time in the classroom as lesson time, because our children do not come to us with great social skills. Children who are in special schools probably have not been able to develop their social skills, and it's up to us to see which social skill a child needs to work on. So I would say it's very important to look at buddying children up together, to do peer tutoring where an older student or more able student can help another student. But really, we can look at an activity called circle time, where we're using the circle and we're using maybe the communication stick, where we give a child the talking stick, and that means they're able to ask questions or talk about a certain topic. Or we can actually have as a focus of our lesson and a social skill, which is working together. If that is the focus, if that's our concept, that can be the basis of discussion. We should never be afraid of using time in the school to teach non-academic skills, because life is not just all about academia. We need to be very competent in the social skills to be able to live a full life. So I mentioned a bit before about the importance of group work. Group work just doesn't happen by itself. Now, I can remember as a very young teacher being very excited about, reading groups, and I'm going to do reading groups, and I'm going to put the children into 4 groups, and one group will do oral reading, and one group will do comprehension, and one group will do sentence builder, and one group will do free reading. And that's what they're going to do, and then they're going to rotate the next day, and they'll have another activity. Now, that was a disaster. I thought, why didn't it work? Because I was so enthusiastic. I had everything prepared. The children had lists of things to do, but why wasn't it working? And I had to step back and really unpack group work. You can't do group work if you don't know the skills of working in a group. And so I had to stop that and teach the children how to work in a group. And so I had to use a non-academic task for the children to understand what it means to work in a group. And so the non-academic task was plasticine. It was building. I want the whole group to build a little, some animals, and have that group, a little farmyard animals together, and then encourage each other in that task. You see, if you don't know how to take turns, if you don't know how to follow instructions, if you don't know how to talk quietly, if you don't know how to walk on from one group to the other, how can you possibly do an academic task? And so it was a great learning opportunity for me. So let's think about group work. Why is it important? Well, it's important because it's a social skill activity first. So let's all do the same activity. Then, as the students can do the same activity, we then work on to the different tasks. And then every group can do a different task if they know how to do group work. And of course, it's very important that we're monitoring the groups. Size of group is really important. I would say the best size group is about 4 to 6. And the tasks need to be clearly defined. They need to be written down. We know that most of our students are visual learners. We can tell and tell and tell them what to do, but we need to have it written down. And they then need to see, the first task to do, the second task to do. We should be encouraging group work to be a social activity. We shouldn't say, oh, you've got to be perfectly quiet, because that's not what group work is. Seating and arrangement is important. Whether you want the students to be at a desk or on a mat, on the floor, is really important. And group work must be frequent. We can't just do group work once a week. I'd say we need to do group work every day so that they understand the nuances of group work. Really important. So let's have a look at social skills training. In social skills training, we have to select specific behaviours. And there's a whole list of behaviours and competencies on page 90 of your textbook. So let's have a look at maybe the student, firstly, probably can't maintain eye contact, doesn't know how to greet other people, and can't get the attention of others. So we would then have to work at that one skill. Now, I know that you're all quite competent at social skills stories. And so I'm just going to, look at some of the things that we can get from the internet about, when I feel angry, I can make choices. I can handle my anger in good ways. I'm just downloaded this, and this is what the social story says. When I feel angry, I can get away from the person who's making me mad. If I'm at home, I can go to another room. At school, I can ask to go to a quiet spot in my classroom. 2, tell mum, dad, teachers, sisters, and kids that I feel angry. My voice can be upset, but I need to use nice words. Ask to take 5-minute break from getting upsetting that I do not like. Squeeze and play with Play-Doh so it's nice, soft and squishy. Count to 5 and take 5 deep breaths and then blow out. When I feel angry, there are things I can do and things I cannot do. I cannot hit, kick or hurt myself or others in any way. If I remember to do some of the 5 things when I feel angry, I can start to feel better and not so angry. Now I'm going to put that social story together in your workbook, but it's a really good idea to sit with your classes and sit and write a social story. Like, when I feel angry, I can make choices. So life is about making choices. So that might be something as a group or in your class that you need to work on is anger. Maybe it's not anger in your class, but I can probably imagine that that's one thing you're going to have to deal a lot with. And then another one I've got here, when someone is hurting or annoying me, I will, 1, look at them. 2, put my hand up in a stop sign. Say to the person, stop it, I don't like it. 4, if it doesn't work, I will get help from a teacher. Now, there are 2 things. If everybody in the class knows this social story, if everyone rehearses it on a very frequent basis, and it might be daily, you can accept that students are going to internalize that because it's repeated again and again and again. But that's not the only way we can do social stories. They're age appropriate to the age of the student, but most students are visual, and so we will have little signs, not just the words, but there'll be pictures to go alongside that. I think it's really important that we understand what works best for each of our situations. So when we're using something like social story, there are 6 things I want us to remember. We've got to define the skill. If we're looking at eye contact, what do we mean by eye contact? We've got to model the skill. We've got to do imitation, rehearsal. We've got to do feedback. We've got to provide opportunities for the skill to be used, and we've got to do intermittent reinforcement. Now, I can remember at the beginning of the year, and we looked at social stories, and we looked at Rick Lavoie and his social stories, and I asked you to make a little clip up of social stories that you could use in your school. Something that is not to do and something to do. And I was just reviewing those just recently, and I really liked the bedtime one. So I'm going to ask you to review the bedtime social story, the video story that you made up, and to be in your mind now thinking, if I was going to make another social story about my class at this time, what do I want to do? So part of your assessment for this module is I want you to make up another social story, video it and send that to me. I love watching them. It's so much fun and such great senses of humor you all have. Now, in my concluding statement for this little video clip, I want you to listen to this. It must be noted that even with children with disabilities, even when they're specifically trained in social skills, some may still find it hard to make friends. With all the work that we do, all the training we do, some children will find it difficult. But this is what we know from research. It is clear that students with poor social acceptance often have poor achievement. And unless achievement within the curriculum can be increased, social adjustment and acceptance may remain a problem for some children. You see, the link between social skills and achievement in the curriculum is really clear. If we're giving children success in school, if they're achieving, if we've got the right curriculum for them, we will find that they'll be more receptive to social skills training. We will find that they are accepting themselves more, where their self-worth will increase. And so there is this great correlation between social skills and school achievement. Friends, social skills are really important. Can I encourage you to keep a lookout for improving social skills in every situation, seek every opportunity, and remember that Jesus gave us our students, and we are given to our students. And we are the ambassador. We are Jesus' ambassador. And I encourage you to love your students, love them in a way that might be tough. It might be that we've got to give them boundaries and we've got to do a lot of preparation, a lot of work. But see them as Jesus sees them, and made in the image of God. And we are here to encourage them to have life to the full, as promised by our Saviour. And I'll be looking forward to receiving those social stories. See you later.